shouldn't it be up to the child to decide their opinion of their parent as they get older? Because I think we all do that. We all grow up and we think, you know what? Really loved that. My mom did this, maybe didn't so much like how she did that. Maybe I really love how my dad was really strict about time, but I think he was a little too lenient about bedtimes. And when I'm a parent, I'm going to be a little bit more firm on that. Whatever it is, something that sticks out to you. Or it might flat out be, my dad was always the fun guy, but you know what? I wish I had a little bit more of a bond with him. I wish that I could talk to him more like I could my mom. And you know what? When I am a parent, I'm going to do that. So it's up to that person in their relationship with their parent. It's not up to us as co-parents to decide what that opinion gets to be. I'm Summer.
And I'm Mike.
And we got married with children.
It's been 12 years since we got this gang together.
And we're still running the rapids of living with a blended family.
And sometimes that is just not easy.
If you're looking for support and tools when it comes to divorce, step-parenting, co-parenting, and giving it your best,
you're in the right place.
We're talking about everything.
You ready to get this party started?
Always. Hey guys, Summer here, coming at you with I think, pretty important topic. And before I go into that, yes, it's just me today. Actually, Mike was on his way, but I couldn't really wait because I had something going on afterwards. So I'm doing it just solo. The sentiment is the same for him. We've talked about this. So what we're talking about today is, who's the better parent? Obviously you are. Okay, just kidding. No, it is this whole topic of competing. Co-parents competing against each other. And I wanted to stress today this whole point because I think it's really, really important. And I think it's something that causes a ton of unnecessary drama between two parents that I'm guessing in the situation would really love to have the best for their children and really love their children. But unfortunately, ego gets in the way, and especially if it's pretty new and fresh out of a divorce, or the conflict never really simmered down and there's always been high conflict, competition can become a big thing. And the reason it's extremely important in my mind is that the child is the one that suffers. And a lot of these topics that we bring up are because we're looking at it. First of all, we live the life of a blended family. So we've experienced ups and downs. We've experienced some of the things that we've talked about, some of the things we haven't, but we've seen it. Our friends have experienced it. People in our larger extended families have gone through these challenges. And the thing that really breaks my heart, like really, really hurts my heart, is seeing a child that is suffering emotionally and having insecurity issues to the point where they're really depressed and in some situations with teens just really not wanting to live. They're really unhappy. And it breaks my heart so much because I personally didn't have that growing up. I had such a great nuclear family situation with my mom and dad. And it was so eye-opening to me having a blended family of my own, going through divorce, seeing the different things that happen, the different things that I've experienced was just like, wow. And for kids to have to go through that makes me really, really sad. And it's why I want to bring up these topics, because if you can catch yourself, Mike and I have caught ourselves many times going, hey, wait a minute, if we're going to do this or that, that's not going to feel good for kids, or that's not the mature thing to do. You have to catch yourself. And sometimes it's because you hear an experience from somebody else. And so the hope is that you might hear something and realize, you know what, maybe I don't need to go about it that way, or maybe there's something else that I can do. And in the process of doing things, realizing that you're just going to make the life for your child better and more peaceful, at least as peaceful as you can. And you're also going to be better yourself as a human, more mature, more emotionally intelligent and mature. And I think that's a great goal and a great outcome for anyone. So these issues that we talk about really tend to be some of the ones that cause the most conflict and the most drama in these families. And it's sad. It's really, really sad, because I think a lot of these adults think, well, the kids don't know anything, and I'm just keeping it between me and my co-parent. But I promise you, they know. And sometimes parents are just full out saying what their opinions are in front of their kids. And I think they might think that they're protecting their kid in a weird way, like, I'm just trying to protect you against this awful father or mother, or I'm just trying to teach you, what a real jerk is, or whatever it is. And they think that they're doing the right thing. And I'm hoping that today's episode might make you see things a little bit differently if you feel that this is happening with your blended family, in your co-parenting relationship, or wherever. Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's something that you can prevent if you're just actually at the new stages of divorce. So the common types of competition that are seen, these are things that we have seen. These are also things that are just, you hear from different people that's going on within their co-parenting situation. And it's things like, I'm going to buy the more expensive gifts to show that I'm the cooler parent, or telling the other child, if a parent is buying a more expensive gift, saying, well, they're just doing that because they're trying to buy your love. Or you are trying to prove that you're more fun every time the kids come over, you're doing something super, super exciting. Or a parent is saying to the child that they don't care about you. They're just trying to buy your love, and they're just trying to do fun things with you because they don't actually really care about you. They're just trying to be the cooler parent. So things like that. It's that like back and forth of who's the better parent, who gives the better gifts. And if you do give the better gifts, you're a bad parent. There's things like bending the rules, like, well, I'm just going to make sure that when I have the kids, I'm going to let them stay up super late. I'm going to let them eat whatever they want just so that they want to come here more. That's a competition thing. Trying to be your kid's best friend, like, I'm the coolest mom or I'm the coolest dad because I'll let them watch whatever movie they want. It doesn't matter how old they are. I'm just going to let them, jump on the bed, do whatever they want because that's going to make them want to come over more because they know that I'm going to say yes to everything. That's a competition thing. That's trying to win as the better or more fun parent. Then there's even things like telling a child, well, I'm not going to date anybody, or I'm not ever going to get remarried because you're my priority. And what you're doing there is implying that the other parent who probably did get remarried must not love you because they found someone else. They must love that person more. So it's things like that, and kind of trying to one up who loves you, who cares for you more. It's keeping score. Well, I went to more games than your mom did. She only went to 2 and I went to all 10. Or it's even being overbearing on all of the things that the kids are doing so that they're looking like they're the more competent parent compared to the other one. So there's lots of things like that. I think you know where I'm going with that. You can just feel it when that's happening. You just know when it's happening, and you probably know it when the other parent is telling you, hey, you don't do this and I do all of this. There's this like keeping tabs of who does more than the other. And this type of behavior, experts say, is super harmful to a child's development, I think for obvious reasons, because it's forcing children to have to choose between the parents, which they should never have to do. When parents are competing against each other, what they're really doing is jockeying for control of the child. And then they further incentivize that with affection. And what it does is it gives the child a reason to prefer one parent over the other. And you're then alienating the opposite parent and forcing that other parent to compete, Okay, well, now what do I have to do to win back that love while still being true to the type of parent that I want to be? And doesn't that all just sound like a whole bunch of ugliness? It's like children already want to please both parents, right? That's just a natural thing, is to get that pride and love from their parents. And then adding this in is just this kind of guilt. Then they feel this guilt that they don't need to have. It's like the exact opposite of the feelings that they should have for their parents. So I've seen this a lot, and I'm sure you have too, if you think about it. Maybe you were raised with parents that were divorced and you saw this happen yourself. I've definitely seen where there's the competition in who's the more fun parent. So there might be one parent who does a lot of activities and trips or fun things, and that's just, their personality. This is what I like to do when I have my time with my kids. Let's make it fun. Let's make it active. And then there's one parent that's just like, I like to just stay home and be with the kids, and we don't do a ton. And maybe there's a money issue going on. Maybe it's a personality thing. One is more likes to retreat inside their homes, and one's super outgoing, whatever that difference is. But I've seen where a parent will call the other one who is maybe more fun, you're just trying to win the child over. Or there is a parent that is trying to create all of this fun, who's just like, I really do just want to be the more fun parent so that my son or daughter wants to come over all of the time. So in these situations, what I want to bring up is asking yourself, why is it necessary to even frame one of those situations as good or bad? Why is the parent having a lot of fun and creating different activities a bad thing or a good thing? Why is the parent that chooses to stay home a bad thing or a good thing? Why can't both just be different? And maybe both are good because they're both learning experiences. And we've said this a lot on previous episodes, but shouldn't it be up to the child to decide their opinion of their parent as they get older? Because I think we all do that. We all grow up and we think, you know what? Really loved that. My mom did this, maybe didn't so much like how she did that. Maybe I really love how my dad was really strict about time, but I think he was a little too lenient about bedtimes. And when I'm a parent, I'm going to be a little bit more firm on that. Whatever it is, something that sticks out to you. Or it might flat out be, my dad was always the fun guy, but you know what? I wish I had a little bit more of a bond with him. I wish that I could talk to him more like I could my mom. And you know what? When I am a parent, I'm going to do that. So it's up to that person in their relationship with their parent. It's not up to us as co-parents to decide what that opinion gets to be. And often so many parents are doing that, whether they realize it or not. They are absolutely influencing, and it's a harsh word, but manipulating into having a certain opinion of that parent. And I think it's natural that kids, at one point or another in their life, they're going to get mad. You're always going to have a kid get mad at you for something, whether they hate the rule that you made, whether they're pissed at you for asking them to clean out the garage on a Sunday when they really wanted to hang out with their friends, whether they're mad about the consequence you gave them for coming home late. Whatever it is, they're going to get mad. And then they're going to turn it into something else. And you're always mean, and you're always this. And it can turn into like a big, big, huge thing. And that's going to happen, especially with teens, right? And little kids, younger kids, can do that too. Well, at daddy's house, I can stay up till 11, right? Or at mom's house, she lets me have candy whenever I want. Whatever the thing is, they're going to get mad and they're going to say certain things. And sometimes they're going to say real opinions. Well, I feel like dad's never around when I'm there. I feel like he's just always working. Or I feel like mom is not very interested when I'm talking to her. She's always doing something else. Whatever it is, they're going to talk about that. And they might bring it up. And if they bring that up to you, I think it's an awesome thing that they should get to express that. But I don't think that it gives you now the right to then influence their opinion further. How about you just listen and let them talk instead of saying, yeah, well, your dad's always been that way. He always cared about work more. Or, yeah, your mom's always like that. She's got ADD or something. She's always distracted. Whatever the situation is, you don't need to fuel it. You just need to listen. And I think that that's what's most important, because then your kids are going to want to talk to you more. They're going to tend to hold things back when the good things happen. And even the things that they actually want solid advice on, they're going to start to learn that they can come to you when they want to vent about that other parent. And this is when they start to feel that I've got to really decide who's going to be my buddy here, who's going to be the one I talk to who also feels this way. Like if I want to get my way, then I know that I can get mom or dad, whoever it is that they're choosing to favor, whoever that they're trying to get on their side. They're going to know that they can talk poorly about that other parent because, mom gets excited when I talk bad about dad, or mom, dad really likes it when I say something negative about mom. And so it's just kind of teaching this like icky kind of manipulative type behavior. And they're seeing that when you're competing as parents against each other. Hey guys, guess what? We have a new website where you can see all of our podcasts and get easy access to the show notes, everything we talk about on the episodes, and you can even listen to the podcast directly from the site. You can contact us through the site and share your thoughts and questions. Check it out at www.everythingalways.co. That's www.everythingalways.co.
And you can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at everythingalwaysco. We just set it up and we'll be sure to put important announcements there.
And we love that this podcast has been so helpful to so many, and our hope is to share it with even more. So can you help us? Will you take a moment now or after the episode to subscribe to the podcast, write a review, and share it? It would mean the world to us, and it helps us to keep bringing you the best content.
Come on, we appreciate you guys. So what do you say, baby? Back to the episode?
Back to the episode. So I'm hoping that I'm describing this the way that I see it in my head, but I've seen it also just in real life. It's like, it's what happens, and it's painful to watch because it's teaching a bad habit is the way that I see it. So looking at the differences in two parents and the different things that they're doing, what if we as co-parents didn't have to label one thing bad or good? See, like what happens is when couples get divorced, there's all this like anger and hurt feelings, and suddenly you're a bad parent if you're not doing the same thing as I am. If your bed routine is different than my bed routine with the kids, then you're just not as good as I am. Or you're a bad parent if you don't show up to every parent-teacher meeting or every single game. Or you're a bad parent if you have more rules at your house. Or you're a bad parent if you have less rules at your house. Or you're a bad parent if your way of bonding is by doing an activity together, but you think that a good parent, it should only be talking. Or you're a bad parent if you don't want to spoil your kid. Or you're a bad parent if you are spoiling them. All of these things are just differences. And one may have a better outcome than the other, but they're just different. They're just different ways of parenting and different ways of doing a father-son or father-daughter or mother-son, mother-daughter relationship. And just because you believe in your way doesn't mean it is the absolute one right way. And so you might start to trickle in all these things. Yeah, but the way I do it shows that I love more, or the way I do it means I care more. And that's not necessarily true. We all show love in different ways. We all bond with people in different ways. That makes me think of Gary Chapman's book, The 5 Love Languages. And I do believe, and I actually want to read it, I do believe that there is a book for blended families called The 5 Love Languages. And I want to recommend it. I haven't read it yet, but I know The 5 Love Languages is a really good book. Mike and I have both read that early on in dating. And it goes for everyone, right? Like learning what those things are within your family. But the point is that it's different for everyone. And in all of this competition and all of, this topic that I'm addressing here, I want to say, there are wrong things to do, of course, and we know what those things are. And if you feel that your child is in danger, you're going to take necessary action. But if it's just an opinion of something that you don't like, just let it go. Let it go, because it's not good for the kids. And if you think about it, think about a family of two parents who have never been divorced. There's always a parent. Usually there's a parent that will do more than the other in different areas. Maybe dad is the one that can get up and do breakfast and drop the kids off at school because he's up early for work. And maybe mom is always the one who does all of the after school activities. Maybe dad cooks more and mom does laundry. Maybe dad does the weekend meetings for Boy Scouts and camping, but mom is all about making the Halloween costumes and organizing the birthday parties. Just because you're both not putting in the same effort of all of the things doesn't mean that one is better than the other. Again, they're just different. But a lot of times parents are calling these differences an act of you don't care, you don't love them, and you're a bad parent. I'm sorry I ever had kids with you. My gosh, the times that I've seen that happen. And it's so mean, and it's so sad, or it breaks my heart, because that energy is just coming out into, even if the kids don't even hear you saying that, the energy is just there. If you're a believer in energy, which I super am. I had a talk with a friend actually this week, and her parents are divorced. So she's experienced that. She's also gone through a divorce herself when her son was really young. And she brought up this point, and she'd said, I don't like my ex-husband. It's why we're not married. And she said, is he the type of dad I wanted for my kid? No, not really. Is his wife the type of woman I want in my son's life? No, not really. But she was like, when my son went there and it was his dad's time, I thought to myself, is he getting fed well? Yeah, he is. Is he safe? Yes, he's definitely safe. Is he loved? Yes, he is loved. Is it a different way than I love? Heck yeah, totally different. That's how she felt. But the truth was with us that she knew that he was okay, and that he was in a place where there was somebody who loved him. And she's like, who am I to take that away from my son, even if it is different than the way I do it? Who am I to take that experience away from him? And they all had very, very different views on parenting, and it showed in all different ways. And then she kind of topped it off with, and I do have to admit that it was actually a really nice relief when he did go over there, because I had some time to myself. But when she was talking about this, I had this light bulb go off, because I just wish that everyone could look at it this way and not intentionally try to stir the pot and not try to cause unnecessary drama. So if your ex has a different political view, does that mean that he or she shouldn't get to love their child and spend time with them? Or if your ex has a really busy schedule and can't put as much volunteer time or coach baseball or do some of the things that you are able to do, does that mean that he or she doesn't deserve to be in his children's life or deserve to have a relationship with those kids? Is your opinion the only right one? Are you setting up an ideal that potentially the person you're co-parenting with might not be able to meet ever, no matter how much you think they should try to meet that? Are you setting up this ideal and therefore not allowing a natural good relationship to happen with your kids and that parent because of what you believe is the ideal? I really hurt for the kids who are missing out on parents that love them with their entire being, whether one is more strict than the other or not, whether one can volunteer at school more than the other or not, whether one can do more fancy vacations or not, whether one has more money than the other or not. I've seen beautiful relationships with kids who even only see one other parent maybe twice a month. Maybe sometimes it's a whole month and then it's a whole month of a break. It's still possible. It's still possible. And I've seen it happen, and it amazes me, and it gives me so much hope, because what it really comes down to is that time spent together and allowing that time to be great quality, to connect without having this cloud overhead or this other language or narrative going on in the head of, no, that person you're going to hang out with doesn't really love you, doesn't really care because they don't do X, Y, and Z. Think of some of the friendships we have and the people that we only see maybe every so once in a while. Maybe it's not every day, but you still have this close relationship. The point is don't taint something because it doesn't match your ideal. Your children deserve to have both of you, and all of the awesomeness that both of you bring, and all of the love that both of you bring, whatever it looks like on your side and whatever it looks like on their side. If they're not in danger, if they are not being hurt, if they are unsafe or any of that, you know what you need to do. You need to take legal action right away to protect them if they are unsafe. But if it's simply because you disagree with how they parent, or you disagree with the way that they show love, let your child express that. Let them express that to their parent. It's their business. That relationship is their business. And you keep being the loving parent that you are, because you probably are showing love in all wonderful ways. But it's gonna taint eventually, because these kids grow up to be adults. And I think there's only so long that you can have somebody telling you what you should think. Something often happens in our lives that causes us to do a deeper dive on ourselves, right? Something happens where you go, why did that relationship not work out? Why did this career choice not work out? Why did this friendship not work out? Why is this happening? Why is this pain happening in my life? And when pain gets to a certain point and you can't take it anymore, you do the work to figure out why it's happening. And usually it's something to do with us. It's something to do with our childhood. It's something to do with the relationships we've had, and we learn from it. And I think that kids grow up, and when they become adults, they will look back, whether it's when they're a parent or they're in a relationship, they will look back and definitely reflect back on how they were parented and the things that happened and how they were influenced. So just something to keep in mind. Again, the whole point of this is it's like this desperate plea for children, for teens, even adult children, really. I mean, even adults that have experienced divorce. It's just this plea of give them a chance, let them experience. Like, if they have a parent that loves them, why would you do anything to come in between that? Regardless of what your opinion is, why would you do that? Like, that's what breaks my heart. The goal of co-parenting is not to agree on everything. It is not to be the exact same in terms of points. What did you do? Okay, I have to do the same. It's not to have the same value of a car, the same value of a house. It's not to have the same lifestyle. It's not to always have everything be the same. It's not to win over your child against the other parent. It's not to prove who is better at what. The goal is your child's happiness. The goal is for them to thrive and be the very best that they can be. And you can accomplish that by compromising, which means you don't always have to be right. You can agree to disagree. The goal is to stop glorifying benign situations. And what I mean by benign situations is taking something that is small in the big picture, that in 10 minutes, 10 days, a year from now is not going to matter. You forgot to bring this back to our house. I'm going to be mad at you because you should have sent that home with Sally. She should have brought it back here. I told her every time that she needs to bring that. If you're going to turn that into a huge, dramatic-filled argument, what are you doing? Why? How about, hey, just a reminder, next time, could you have her bring this back? It would help a ton. That's it. Do what you can to make sure that your children feel safe and secure and supported and happy without one parent trying to manipulate that child's thoughts. That should be the goal. It's not a game with points to be earned. There are human beings involved here, and the goal should be their life experience. Their life experience. And sometimes you have to swallow hard. You have to let the ego go. Don't start the fight. It's not necessary. Don't slander this person. That's immature. Do the things that you would want your child to do as a capable adult and parent. What advice would you give? Because when you look at it that way, those would be your grandchildren. And you want your grandchildren to have a happy life as well. Don't you? Let the ego go. Let it take a back seat and really think about what it must be like to be in your kid's shoes. In other words, more adulting and less game playing. And I believe that you can then get to have that great conversation sitting on a porch somewhere with your adult child who will thank you for that. And by the way, it's never too late to implement any of this. In fact, if this kind of stuff has been going on, even if it's been going on for years, why not sit your kid down and say, hey, you know what? I'm not super proud of how I did this. And it must have been really hard for you to be caught in the middle of two competing parents. This must have been really, really icky. And we want to make that better for you. And while we may disagree on a ton of things, because it probably is a ton of things, we both love you and we want to be there for you. And I'm going to keep my nose out of how your mom does this or how your dad does that. And I just want to be here for you and love you. And one day, you'll be sitting and having that conversation. And I would almost guarantee that that will have such an impact that that adult child of yours will say, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for changing the course. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening. And we like to say, if you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone you love and be bold enough to share it with someone you don't. See you next time.